Thanks for watching this. I personally had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I'm so blessed to have a family that I don't only love, but even like. The blessings of a meal and friendship and laughter and goodness and the great turnout we had for our Thanksgiving Mass and just so much goodness. And I'm always aware of those for whom these days are tough because of some kind of heartache or loss or empty place at table. And my heart just hurts so much for those suffering globally right now. I think of the folks in Ukraine and the Russians who are dying as well, and in the Mideast. I'm sad it's so politically charged, but I just hope we could all pray for that all hostages would be released and that all the innocent civilians who don't want any of this but don't have medicine or water or electricity or food or any of those things, that somehow they'll be cared for, and that on this feast we call Christ the King, we will let his values more be real in this world, right? That there will be loving justice and lasting peace. May it happen. Most of us do a lot of good things. Why do you do good? I bet if I took a poll, we'd find a number of reasons. One of the reasons we do good is because we're told it's the right thing to do, that there is no excuse for not doing good when we can. Makes sense. Another is that we do good because we genuinely care about others and we want to help them out. Compassion leads us to do good. It's great. Another way to answer that is we do good because we are good. It's a natural, beautiful expression of who we are, and it is. What Jesus highlights today and brings home for us is that we also do good for this reason. Because it is good for us to do so, good for us to do so. When I was on retreat once in the seminary, the wonderful Jesuit priest, Father John Kavanaugh, encouraged my classmates and me to tithe our time, 1/10 of our time, with the poor. And by the poor, he meant all those who wear their brokenness on the outside, right? The people Jesus described in today's gospel, the hungry, the naked, the imprisoned, the awkward, the ill, the outcast. Spend 1/10 of your time, he said, with the poor. I cannot think of a single piece of advice I got in the seminary that has more impacted my formation or who I am to this day. The temptation, of course, was for my classmates and for me to think of ourselves as the noble, good ones, helping those poor people out, right? What Father Kavanaugh knew would happen and what actually did was that when I spent my time with the poor, I was changed. I found myself. My brothers and sisters, whatever combination of reasons leads us to go to prisons or on mission trips or to care for a struggling nature or to help at a soup kitchen, one of the outcomes is almost always that we get redeemed by what we meet in those folks. Now, I'm not sure all the way how to put words on how that happens, but I'm pretty sure it's because of this. How the Christ in them reaches out to the Christ in me. And in them, then, I again meet who I truly am. That changes me. When I visit the imprisoned, for example, I visit myself because I am imprisoned too, just in a different way. We all are. And when I let myself see those imprisoned, to see them, I'm freed from my delusions about who I am. And the Christ in them helps me see that I can be loved in my lack of freedom. When I cover someone naked in their shame, perhaps by a kind word in an awkward moment, I intuit, often unaware, but what I am ashamed of in myself and where I am most vulnerable. And something shifts in me. I see myself in them or feel myself in them. And somehow I touch into the love that's in them, in me, and at the heart of the universe, all at the same time. When I visit those who are sick, as I watch people do the work of accepting their mortality, the Christ in them gently invites me to be aware of and embrace my own physical vulnerability. When I share my money or any money or items with a St. Vincent de Paul Society or some other effort to help feed the hungry, I am reminded of how blessed I am to not have to worry about having enough to eat. And by what I find in these folks on the edges, they always remind me that it's silly to think I need more stuff or experiences or comfort for happiness. Their joy and goodness invites me to savor the simple things. And just being with them, this taste of our common humanity is itself a phenomenal gift. It just is. And what is most likely, I think, to keep any of us from heaven, heaven now and heaven at the hour of our death, is thinking that we are different than those we serve. That somehow we've earned it because of, we did good, right? Of being blind to our own brokenness and to the reality of how loved and connected we all are in our weakness and imperfection. It's so easy to hear the scripture and say, yep, I'm going to go help those poor people. They need it. Well, yes, they do. But ultimately, we are the ones most blessed. We are changed by meeting Christ in these sometimes distressing disguises. The main blessing for me in any good that I do turns out to be that it saves me. So, of course, today Jesus says to the sheep, come inherit the kingdom I prepared for you from the beginning of time. The sheep were ready for the kingdom of heaven. They had already been there on some level every time they welcomed someone left out, visited someone lowly or lonely, gave food to someone who was hungry, comforted someone who was grieving. They had already been with Christ on earth. To end, and I don't know why I want to do this, but I want to tell you about a young man named Johnny England. There is a picture of the two of us on the wonderful birthday video that our staff put together a few weeks ago. A group of us from the seminary used to stay at a week or two at Camp Don Bosco for men with limited abilities. Johnny, one year, was one of the 3 men I was blessed to serve. Now, sometimes I would have to help Johnny walk so he wouldn't fall. He didn't say much at all. When he did speak, he did very slowly. And I don't even know why to this day it makes me cry when I picture him. But being with Johnny England touched into the very best of who I am inside of me. I know this. The Christ in me loved the Christ in him, and the Christ in him loved the Christ in me. And though I never saw Johnny England again, I still love him. All these years later, I mean, my teacher was right. I don't have words for it, but I know I am blessed even to this day to have met him. Yeah, there are many reasons to do good. It is the right thing to do. And in our compassion, we do care about others and want to help them because that goodness is just who we are. But today, Jesus gives us perhaps the most important reason of all, or at least one of the most profoundly affecting us reasons of all. It's good for us. It will save us.